now watching Q News. Here are the top stories for this hour. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant over war crimes. The International Criminal Court cited reasonable grounds to believe they oversaw attacks on civilians and used starvation as a weapon. The court clarified that Israel's acceptance of its jurisdiction is unnecessary and stated that the disclosure of the warrants serves the interests of victims. Additional charges include murder, persecution, and other inhumane acts. At least 66 Palestinians have been killed in a new massacre committed by the Israeli occupation forces in northern Gaza. At dawn, occupation warplanes bombed an entire residential block near Kamal Adwan Hospital, killing 66 civilians and injuring more than 100 others. In the aftermath, medical staff struggled to treat the victims due to a shortage of rescue crews. Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Ghait has criticized the U.S. veto at the United Nations, which blocked a Gaza ceasefire resolution backed by 14 nations. Abul Ghait said the veto enables Israel's deadly campaign, including forced displacement and starvation in Gaza. He also remarked that the veto exposes the UN's failure to address regional conflict and advancing plans from the Israeli far right to further annex and resettle Palestinian territory.
The result of the voting is as follows.
4 Palestinians have been killed and others were injured after occupation warplanes bombed the city of Qnews. Medical sources reported that the occupation forces targeted a group of citizens in the Qal Crane area southeast of Qnews. This came after an Israeli airstrike hit the southern part of Al-Mawasi yesterday, killing more than 7 people. At least 3 Palestinians have been killed and others were injured in an Israeli airstrike on the Palestinian city of Rafah. While in the Nusayrat camp in central Gaza, at least 2 Palestinians were killed and others were injured after an Israeli drone fired a shell at a group of citizens. The Commissioner General of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, Philippe Lazzarini, has confirmed that the civil system in Gaza has been completely destroyed. On social media, Lazzarini stated that 80% of the Gaza Strip are high-risk areas, noting that northern Gaza is suffering under a stifling siege and that people have not received humanitarian aid for more than 40 days. He reported that residents have no safe haven and are searching for the most basic resources.
Bill on the 28th of October, I have drawn the
Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman al-Safadi has emphasized that international criminal court decisions must be respected for Palestinian justice. Speaking alongside European Union Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell, al-Safadi highlighted talks focused on alleviating civilian suffering in Gaza, especially in the north, and praised the European Union's efforts to support Gaza and address the humanitarian crisis. Borrell affirmed that the International Criminal Court's arrest orders for Netanyahu and Gallant should be enforced and criticized Israel's obstruction of humanitarian aid, stressing the European Union's commitment to exposing atrocities against Gaza's children. This concludes our top headlines for this hour. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more updates on Q News.
a utilisé le robot parce qu'aujourd'hui on se retrouve confronté dans la restauration à des problèmes de recrutement, un petit peu comme tous nos confrères restaurateurs essentiellement. Donc il a bien fallu continuer à travailler rapidement pour pouvoir répondre aux attentes de nos clients. Il y a besoin d'un certain contact, il faut installer le client, il faut l'accueillir, il faut prendre le temps de discuter avec lui, de l'écouter. Donc ça ne remplacera pas complètement un être humain, mais par contre ça peut soulager. Moi c'est ce que je dis, il faut le prendre comme une solution d'aide.
C'est une nouvelle technologie, ça fait un peu bizarre forcément. Et voilà, après on s'habitue petit à petit, moi ça fait quelques temps que je le côtoie, il n'y a aucun problème.
Ma réflexion là-dessus, que si on payait mieux les gens, on aurait peut-être de la main-d'œuvre. Franchement, c'est ce que je pense. Ouais. Voilà. Et donc je préférerais que ce soit des gens, hein, je vous le dis franchement. Après, je trouve que c'est rigolo, mais voilà, ce serait mieux que ce soit des gens. C'est pour moi.
Non, bon, moi ça me dérange pas. Après, tant que ça n'enlève pas de l'emploi, je pense que c'est aidant pour eux, pour être servis plus vite, voilà.
İstanbul'un simgelerinden bir tanesi. Dolayısıyla şöyle bir mottoyla yola çıktık. Nostaljiyle teknolojiyi buluşturup İstanbul'u geleceğe taşıyoruz. Dolayısıyla hem bu tarihi, nostaljik havayı korumak hem de teknolojiyle birlikte adapte ederek İstanbullularımızın hizmetine sunmayı amaçladık. Mevcut havai hattımızı gördüğünüz gibi katener sistemiyle alıyordu mevcut tramvaylarımız. Burada ise tamamen batarya sistemiyle, katener sisteminden bağımsız yine elektrikle çalışan aracımız.
Tramvay aynı fark etmez yani. Yine millet tramvay olarak bakar. Nereden alıyormuş, elektrikten mi geliyormuş, pilden mi geliyormuş, kablodan mı geliyor anlamaz. Nostalji devam eder yani aynı şekilde. Turistler takılmak istedikleri zaman yani bizim Türkler gibi takılamıyorlar, asılamıyorlar. Düşüşlerine çok kez şahit oldum. Yüzünü sürten, yani hoş değil. Böylesi daha iyi olur.
J'ai pas eu l'occasion de le monter, mais là, ça va, c'est parfait.
The amusement is in the journey. With experience and knowledge, you will discover and understand. We will explore the world together and live the adventure of finding news on Qnews.
أوضاع عنا أجلك زبالة، قصف وطيران وحرب يعني دمار شامل.
إلنا عم نعاني سنة وهذه هسه تهجرنا وجينا اللي عندنا أهلنا بصيدا وتلقونا بكل ترحاب وبارك الله بهم.
We are making a few products, not as many as we should. We are making these tables, as you have seen, the chairs. We are making pens from the tip of the bamboo that we don't normally use. Whichever furniture comes in a material that is not sustainable, we replace that with bamboo.
Myaka ngawezeze emyaka 3 awo notandika okuharvestinga.
Struggling with its viability in the market. Who buys it? What does it do? And people haven't seen many bamboo products.
If you come here, what you will see is mainly you will see bamboo, but not only bamboo, but several species of bamboo. Yeah, and each bamboo you see here has a story. It has where it comes from, and it has different use. It has a different name.
From Egypt to the world, in global language and standards, no changes to reality, no double standards, only the truth. A click on your phone is enough to keeping you updated throughout the day with all what's happening. Programs analyzing all what is new. Here on Qnews.
Abuelo de mi padre fabricaba violín. A mí él lo ayudaba a su abuelo. Y ahí aprendió también con su abuelo. Semanario trabajo. Porque hay que trabajar con un instrumento, trabajando con paciencia, para que salga bien sonido.
En tiempo de las misiones, los misioneros enseñaron a fabricar los instrumentos de violín. Entonces, los propios nativos aprendieron de los misioneros y ellos mismos comenzaron a fabricar su propio instrumento.
لا في مصاري لا في مية لا ما في ولا شيء. طبعا احنا بنلجأ للتكيات عشان نكمل مشوار الحياة لأولادنا، نجيب الأكل نجيب الشرب. نزحت أنا بالنسبة لي اللي هو يمكن حوالي 4-5 مرات، اللي هو من تل الهواء للانصراف. في الانصراف نزحت كمان مرتين من مكان لمكان عشان حكوا بدهم يضربوا حزامات نارية. بعدها توجهنا لرفح ومن مكان لمكان ولسه مش عارفين هاي بهجروا فينا.
The amusement is in the journey. With experience and knowledge, you will discover and understand. We will explore the world together. and live the adventure of finding news on Qnews.
Is global justice possible in a polarized world? In a major shake-up in global politics, the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the former Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant. In this episode, we delve into the decision's legal weight, its feasibility, and its impact on the Middle East. From Gaza's plight to the American veto against ceasefire at the United Nations, we explore these interconnected challenges and ask, can the ICC bring Israel to justice? Welcome to Think Tank. The Israeli assault on Gaza has intensified, with recent airstrikes on Beit Lahia killing 66 and injuring over 100 others, with most of the casualties reported as being women and children. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza has worsened in recent weeks. Hospitals are overwhelmed and medical supplies remain blocked. Meanwhile, the United States vetoed yet another UN ceasefire resolution, allowing Israel to continue its deadly campaign, which has already claimed nearly 44,000 Palestinian lives. Al-Ahram Online has reported that Gaza is increasingly described as a graveyard for children amid widespread destruction and forced displacement. International condemnation is growing, but the United States continues to block peace efforts, empowering Israel to pursue its military objectives. And in the heart of Gaza war, the United States stands as a decisive force, wielding into its veto power at the United Nations to block ceasefire resolutions. This bold move not only reshapes Israel's security strategy, but also threatens to ignite wider regional tensions, especially in Lebanon.
The United States plays a pivotal role in shaping the Gaza war, primarily through its repeated use of the veto power in the United Nations Security Council. Since October 7th, the U.S. has blocked multiple resolutions calling for a ceasefire, justifying its stance as protecting Israel's right to self-defense against Hamas. This veto strategy has hampered international efforts to de-escalate the violence, highlighting the U.S. alignment with Israeli security concerns. Beyond Gaza, U.S. vetoes have far-reaching implications, particularly in Lebanon. By obstructing ceasefire efforts, Washington strengthens its strategic partnership with Israel, but risks further destabilizing Lebanon, where Hezbollah's involvement escalates tensions. The prolonged war in Gaza has also exacerbated instability along Lebanon's southern border. The U.S. seeks to prolong the war for several claimed reasons: weakening Hamas's military capabilities, reinforcing Israeli security, limiting Iranian influence, and maintaining regional dominance. This strategy aims to prevent a shift in the Middle Eastern power balance that could provoke U.S. adversaries, especially in Arab and Muslim majority countries. American actions in Gaza reflects the nation's broader geopolitical objective of securing Israeli interests while managing the potential for regional instability, particularly in Lebanon. The ramifications for this approach are likely to affect the Middle East for years to come.
Providing more analysis about the most recent updates, joining us from New York is Dr. De Silva, a political science professor, and Dr. Abdel Nasser Mekki, a political science professor who joins us from occupied Jerusalem. A very warm welcome to both our guests, and of course we start off our episode asking a very important question to De Silva. Sir, of course the United States blocked yet again a UN resolution calling for a ceasefire to stop the human tragedy transpiring in Gaza, and today the ICC officially issues arrest warrants against Netanyahu and Gallant on account of their implication in creating this human tragedy. Does this make the current US administration legally and morally complicit in the ongoing genocide and atrocity in Gaza, sir?
Yes. The Biden administration, as I have said in previous interviews, is one of the worst administrations that we've had in the United States, and the worst president that we've had, and especially on this human rights issue with regard to war crimes, atrocity crimes, crimes against humanity, and the impunity that the Israelis, the IDF, has in executing its campaign in Gaza and also in Lebanon, with the US supplying military hardware, know-how, intelligence, and all of these things. So this is a serious problem, and going forward, A, they will be judged by history, and B, under international law, those who are culpable are not just only Netanyahu and Gallant. It is also people here on this side in the United States who are also culpable, who knowingly allowed the IDF to carry out this genocidal campaign.
Dr. De Silva, to make it clear, you're not happy about what's going on, of course, at the UN Security Council and the veto, or the US veto, and you're not happy about, of course, what's going on about atrocities and genocides that are taking place in Gaza, specifically, of course, ethnic cleansing and the displacement, of course, and humanitarian aid, which is on the verge of famine. Now, you're not happy about this.
Absolutely not. Starving a population is genocide. You have to just look at the laws of war, and you can see how many of them have been contravened. And you can also look at the Geneva Conventions. All of these things, Israel has got a free pass to go out and massacre people. And these are people who survived the Holocaust, who know what all of this is about. And they are repeating history in Gaza and in the West Bank and also in Lebanon.
Okay, we go to Dr. Abdel Nasser Mekki. From a Middle Eastern perspective, sir, how might this decision influence Israeli policies and their approach to Gaza and the West Bank?
You know that the USA is always supporting Israel from maybe 50 or 60 years. And as you know, there is about 283 vetoes have been used by the United States of America against all the resolution from the Security Council, which is against Israel. And this is the fourth time that the United States is using the veto from last year, twice, and one in the early of this year, and now yesterday. So this will be influence on the perspective and the point of view of the people against the United States of America. It's not neutral. They the people in the West Bank and also I think in Gaza and also in all Palestine, they accuse the United States administration that they leading the war against Gaza, against south of Lebanon, and even that they are supporting Israel with all machine guns, with all airplanes, and also in the political issues like in the United Security Council for the resolution which called for a ceasefire. So the people here now was waiting for this decision in order to ceasefire in Gaza, as your guest said that this is a genocide, and also this is the bad administration or the worst administration, American administration in the history. Now the United States is leading the coalition against, the Palestinian and against what's happening in south of Lebanon. But even that, it killed the people, they killed the children, and also they are not secure and not even providing the aids for the people
Very
in Gaza
true, sir,
for the
yeah.
hospital.
Okay, we go back to Dr. De Silva. Sir, what are the political and legal obstacles that could hinder the implementation of these arrest warrants, especially given Israel's rejection of ICC jurisdiction?
So, for the ICC arrest warrants to work, when they travel outside of their jurisdiction, of their domicile, so if they leave Israel and they go to, say, Europe or to other countries, it is then beholden upon that country which is being visited to arrest the person, the war criminal, who's wanted by the International Criminal Court, and then send them to The Hague. Now, we have seen in other cases from Sudan, from Russia, where this does not happen, where people who are wanted can travel and are not impeded or arrested and sent to The Hague. So the
okay,
issue
sir,
is,
sorry to interrupt you, but why do you see that this does not happen? Then when is it going to happen, and how is it going to happen, and when is this genocide going to end?
big questions. So
thank you, sir.
It is something. It has to do with political will, and for the longest time, we have had a settler colony in the Middle East, which is aided and abetted by the United States and by European powers. Now, it is high time. I mean, we can see it day in, day out that genocide is happening. And unless and until firm action is actually taken by the great powers, I don't see the war or the genocide ending, with the exception of a wild card, and that is President Trump coming in. President Trump has the ability, because he has more leverage over Netanyahu, and as Prince Turki bin Faisal Al Saud said a couple of weeks ago at Princeton, President Trump is more popular among Netanyahu's own people, so therefore they will do whatever he tells them to do. And
it's going to worsen the situation, sir.
I'm not sure, because President Trump wants to get a Nobel Peace Prize. So he would sell the Ukrainians and pressure the Israelis. I think that's my read of it. Whether he does it or not.
That's a very optimistic vision, sir, that I really respect, and we hope so, of course.
Yes.
Okay, before we dive deeper into our discussion, let's take a moment to examine how the United States uses its veto to protecting Israel at the United Nations. Stay with us. Back again, Dr. Abdel Nasser Makki. Yesterday, the United States vetoed a UN Security Council resolution on a ceasefire in Gaza. To what extent, sir, does the United States veto power in the UN Security Council undermine the ICC's decisions and international justice mechanisms?
You know, there is a relationship between the United Nations, what happening yesterday and the Security Council resolution, the veto from the United States, and also what the ICC announced today about arrested Netanyahu and Gallant. So there are contradicting things. The United States of America, this administration, is supporting Israel.
Sir, don't you think that this is justice and this is possible in a polarized world, that what happened yesterday, the answer today was that Netanyahu and Gallant should be, or actually the criminal court has issued an arrest warrants against them?
Yes, I think so. But because, as you know, that there are some examples before, like what your guest said about the Ukrainian and about the Russian and about the Sudanian. So even there is, you know, that's a memorandum or the arrested orders from the ICC. But as you know, it's not implemented in all over the world, because there are many countries that they could go there and without any, you know, that's happening there. So, but this is something, good things for the justice. And I think this should also persuade the United States of America that they should change their, you know, that's position and situation against, you know, that's even what's happening in the Gaza. They should stop the genocide. And even the ICC, they said that Gallant and Netanyahu, they are accused that they are making the genocide in Gaza. But the United States of America now, after this decision, they should change and they should make, you know, that something towards like to be neutralized. And that means the United States of America should go ahead with, you know, that's providing the assistance and the aid for Gaza without any condition from the Israeli. And this is the things that the Palestinian is waiting. And also this will minimize, you know, that's even the situation against even Israel, because this will support the Palestinian in Gaza and even minimize the genocide actions. And I think the United States of America should change and should also go ahead with the international community, with international law. That means now the people know that the United States of America is supporting the genocide, because the veto in the Security Council is go ahead with the genocide. They are not, the American, they are not even stopping the genocide.
Sir, but this was always the case with the United States, and it's one of the main allies of Israel, and it's always known since the war started a year ago, or more than a year ago.
Yes, yes. You know that even before that, but I think, as you just said also about the Biden administration, it is the worst, you know, the administration in the United States of America. They are not doing anything. They are just, you know, that like the foreign minister Blinken is coming here maybe the 9th or 10th times here without doing anything. And this is encouraging Israel to go ahead with the genocide in Gaza, because the American before, they told Israel to stop or to make some, you know, action or positive action in the ground, and also to provide assistance and aid in
sir,
in
I'll
Gaza.
be back again, but let me ask Dr. De Silva, what precedent does the ICC's decision set for other world leaders or states accused of violating international law?
So there's one thing that I'd like to go back, that in the UN Security Council vote that took place, 14 of the UN Security Council members voted for an immediate ceasefire. It was only the US that vetoed it. So that's very important to say. Now, with regard to
it was so awkward, sir. It was so awkward.
I know. It is shameful. It is morally repugnant. but that's the Biden administration for you. So, coming back to
Sir,
your
do you
question,
think it's the Biden administration or the United States?
no, there are people in the United States, people who are senior people who are in the State Department, like Josh Paul and others, many others, who have left the administration, who have resigned
Yes,
because
true, sir.
of. So it's not all of America; it's the Biden administration.
I
it's
did
the
not
people
mean
who run.
Americans, sir. I meant the leaders of the Americans, the
Yeah, so it's
presidents of America.
yeah. So you can see how Israeli politics and U.S. politics are so intertwined and that's the reason why most of these senators and congressmen and women and presidents have been supporting Israel for such a long time.
It's true, sir. Dr. Abdel Nasser Makki, do you see the ICC's move as a symbolic action, or could it potentially lead to a shift in global accountability measures against Israel?
I think I couldn't say that it's symbolic, but I hope that it will be some action against Israel. So we are waiting, that because today they have been announced and they issued this decision about arrested the Netanyahu and Gallant. I don't want that this will be a symbolic. Otherwise, that it will be like against the humanitarian justice in the world or against the ICC, because symbolic does not mean anything for the Palestinian. We want, that a decision, a real decision, that they consider them as criminals and they should be arrested and should be go to the prison, because they are now practicing all the genocide in Gaza. They are killing rich people every day. So we hope that the ICC will be also supporting by the international community, by the European Union, by the other countries, regardless there are the United States of America against, and they are not members of the ICC, but we hope that this will be the first step in punishing Israel.
Yes, sir, we hope so, of course, and we're very optimistic about this decision. Dr. De Silva, how could the United States veto against the ceasefire resolution in Gaza complicate or undermine international efforts to address civilian suffering in, of course, Gaza and, of course, the Middle East?
So the thing is this. Yesterday, the U.S. vetoed. Today, you have the International Criminal Court issuing warrants for war criminals.
That's the irony, sir. That's the core of the issue.
That is a response from the international community to the Biden administration. It's literally a slap in the face. So the international community, I think, is sick and tired of seeing dead children, women, men, the elderly, and actually
the children, sir,
of genocide taking place. And also the sniper units that are shooting children in the head. The Belgian government is actually taking a special war crimes trial against one of its citizens, who's a dual Belgian Israeli citizen, who's in a sniper unit, Israeli sniper unit, that has been shooting children in the head. And that has been recorded. So the Belgians, say, for example, a country that is taking action because it's appalling. It is unconscionable. It's inhuman.
Okay, that brings us again to the question we started our episode today with. Is global justice possible in a polarized world? Of course, after the very important issue that took place today, that was Dr. De Silva, a political science professor from New York, and Dr. Abdel Nasser Makki, a political science professor from occupied Jerusalem. Thank you both for your insights and for your informative knowledge and for adding value to our program. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Think Tank. Stay tuned for more exclusive stories here on Qnews. Thank you very much for watching.